Okay, so let's take a look at checkpoints. Checkpoints is the way that our officers that are on the site are going to do the patrol tours. So checkpoints have a few different options we can have. So let's go ahead and let's create a checkpoint. So we're going to give our checkpoint a name. For this checkpoint, I will call it the entrance. Right now, we'll leave it as can be scanned by all, and we'll return to this concept afterwards. Checkpoint monitoring options. We can do not monitor can be scanned randomly, which means at any point the officer can just scan it. We're not required them to scan that checkpoint. Checkpoint is part of a tour will allow us to associate this checkpoint with a tour route. Request a scan on a regular interval. We have minute, hours, days, and weeks. So let's say I say every 30 minutes. The way this works is it'll go from 0 to 30 minutes, 30 to 60, 60 to 90. If I happen to scan that checkpoint at the 15-minute mark, it will start counting the 30 minutes after the last scan. So it's not really 0 to 30, 30 to 60, 60 to 90. It's whenever the scan is done, and then it starts your 30-minute timer, and then you have the alert on the mobile device. We'll go ahead and we'll leave this as part of a tour. Our scan options we have is log only. It's just that, it's just a log. Display a message allows us to display a message from that checkpoint. It could be as simple as make sure the door is locked. Open a report form. Any kind of customizable reports that we've created, we can pull these from here. The customizable reports, when we have this associated with checkpoint, if I scan that checkpoint, the report will pop open and then the officer would fill out the information. Exception validate range. For example, I might say, what is the server room temperature? And the server room temperature has to be between 15 and 20 degrees. If I'm outside of those ranges, I'm going to link this up to an incident category. There's two things that this will do for us. One, it's going to be one way that we're going to send out notifications to who needs to know this information. The other one, if I don't meet the condition set, it will populate a incident analytic for us. We have this as well for yes and no, where no is the exception. So it could be, is the door secured? Yes, nothing happens. No is my exception. We'll link it to an incident category. It will populate a notification rule. If we set that up, it will also populate an incident analytic for us. Same thing where yes is an exception. And then we have the idea of a multi-question, where we can ask several different questions on one checkpoint with yes is an exception, no is an exception, a range, and also a text field where we can ask for additional comments that the user would write in their additional information. Again, every one of these can be linked to one incident category, which again will populate our rules, or every single question will be linked to a different incident category using a different notification rule and also populating a different incident analytic if I'm outside of that range. A great example of this would be a checkpoint in the washroom. I'm not going to put a checkpoint by the toilet or the sink, but what I'll do is I'll put a checkpoint at the door and I'll ask all the questions. Is there any leaky plumbing? Is the washroom clean? Etc. When we look down here, we've got the GPS scan required in accuracy. If we do have our GPS checkpoint, we'll see how we do this in a second. I would type 20 in here, which is our minimum, and from 20 it just means that from that longitude I got 20-meter radius that the device will recognize that checkpoint. Allow manual scanning. We do allow manual scanning, meaning that even though the checkpoint is there, I can just tap on my device on the checkpoint and it will take the behavior of whatever I have information from my checkpoint. What's nice about this is if you're doing any kind of testing or want to see how a tour route works, you put it on yes, so you don't have a lot of tokens in front of you. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to populate checkpoints, and we're going to populate one based on every condition that we have here.